you just jealous? Are you just jealous? Are you just jealous? Are you just jealous? Are you just jealous? Cause we're the big G boys. Yeah. Are you just jealous? Are you just jealous? Are you just jealous? Are you just jealous?
Damn, you're so jealous by the end of the song.
BG Boys.
Oh, yeah. The spooky times are here, my man. Wee-oo. The spooky times. It's Halloween 2021, and we're back with the annual
Crazy.
Halloween VG Boys podcast.
Yeah.
What's up, Sean? How you doing, man?
Doing good, Adam. This is becoming like the treehouse of horrors of our podcast. Like,
It really
we do
is.
something a little special every year.
Yeah, for some reason, we always manage to convene around this time of year. E3, this, and what else is the big one we always hit?
Sometimes we'll do, or at least on or around it, or like the end of the year wrap up. Like we have a few that we try to
New
go
Year's,
with.
yeah. Favorite holiday stuff. But here we are. It's the beginning of the holiday season. Halloween's next week. Or better yet, this weekend.
Just Sunday, right? Yeah. When we're recording this during the
That's
week
right.
of...
And I'm going to do the honors. I'm going to kick off this podcast by eating a couple of Hershey Kisses.
Nice. Not exactly Halloween candy, but candy nonetheless. So what can you say?
Hershey Kiss is Halloween candy, man. A Hershey
got
Kiss,
some,
you can't deny it.
Enjoying the Muddy Buddies.
What's a Muddy Buddy?
It's like
Sounds
Chex
dirty.
Mix cereal, but it's like peanut butter and chocolate is what they like. It's like powdered sugar kind of thing coated, but it's like inside is like a chocolate peanut butter taste.
You can't
It's
go
amazing.
wrong with peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah, and then add powdered sugar.
Unless you're allergic,
just
then
like-
you could really go wrong. Things could go
Sure,
south.
I guess so. I guess.
I'm going to eat
don't
one
worry
more
about
Hershey
that.
Kiss.
Nice.
All right, you hear that?
we-
That's the sound of Halloween.
We bought the Halloween candy early, which is always a mistake because it's like, will it last to Halloween?
Well, all those big stores have it on sale. 2 for $7, 4
The
for
day
10.
after Halloween is the best sale. Everyone knows that.
Hmm.
It goes all on sale.
Yeah, what you got to do is just lie to your kids and go trick-or-treating on the day after Halloween, which is, of course, November 1st.
And
So
by
you get your kids
trick-or-treating-
dressed up, and you just knock on everybody's door on November 1st. Excuse me. Trick-or-treat, guys.
And leftovers, we'll take them.
I know you guys got that cheap after the holiday candy. Hand it over.
That's right.
Unreal, man. So
Yes, indeed.
I'm going to go ahead into one of our special segments that we do called
Oh, yeah.
What You Been Playing Lately, Sean, because
you been playing?
nobody's heard from us in a while. You tell
it's
me
been a
what you've
bit.
been playing lately.
Been a bit, man. I mean, a few things I'd say. I was pretty into Persona 5 for a bit, not Royale,
That's right.
the original. I'd gotten that free digital with the PS5. Like we got that like pack of games. So I'm like, this game everyone talks about, and it's been good. I was about to beat it, and then Diablo 2 Resurrected came out, and that kind of derailed that entire
That's what
thing. So
happened to
we were
me,
playing
too.
a bit of that, which we've been enjoying when we can.
Yeah, in the
Um,
midst of fatherhood with young kids in
yeah.
the house, it's kind of hard to find
Mhm.
time, but you got to make it happen here or there.
Yeah, but I have it on the Switch and I have it on the PS5/4 because it kind of works for both, and I've been enjoying it. It's just like you expected. I feel like it could have been better in some things. I feel like it's always one of those like nostalgia trip, and with the consoles, I feel like the matchmaking they didn't do well. They took away the lobbies that the PC used to have. So now it's like literally you click like a quest you want to do, and it's like hopefully someone's playing this. Otherwise, like you make the game.
Hopefully.
And I just feel like most of the time, no one's playing. I don't know if everyone's on private or if their games are full, which I don't think at all, or what. But I just on the PC apparently you can get games and it's like the old school way. But I didn't
So
buy it
have
on the
you
PC.
been trying to get games with just randoms? Is that what you mean? Like
Oh
people
yeah, I always do. Yep.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
always attempt- yeah, I don't do private games.
I
Like,
always do
there's no-
private games, and I literally play by myself.
See, you're the part of the problem, I think.
Well, maybe.
Like if I was gonna maybe do like a Magic Find run at some point, but like just to advance through the game because I'm not rushing. Like you can't. You have to like go about it. So I'll try to play with people because I feel like you do a better job. You get more experience, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it
But,
does. It does seem to work out better when you play in a group with this game too. At least a
It
group
just-
of another person, at least.
Yeah. But I just don't find anyone. Like I found on the Switch, it's basically impossible. I have a few Discord things that I found where people like would put their friend codes in, and you can like be like a Nintendo Switch Online friend group and like invite that way.
Mm.
But it's like annoying. They just there's a lot of things that I was expecting them to do and they just didn't. So it's good and bad. Like I'm enjoying it for what it is, but like it's certainly not blowing away my expectations of what it was, and they
So
completely messed
what
up
did
with a
you
lot of
feel like they promised that they didn't deliver on?
not so much that he promised. Like they didn't say they were gonna like completely change the lobby system. I feel like that was the entire point of the PC. Like you would type in what you wanted to do, make game. You can search all the games, not just some random thing. I just feel like it's almost like a lie. It was almost like my initial issue with No Man's Sky, if you recall,
Yeah,
how it was like you were supposed to run into people,
sure.
and initially you were not ever gonna find anyone. Like they just like lied to everybody with that sense.
It just
Like
wasn't
people would
ready. They released the game before the full capability was
right,
there.
but the point is they were making it seem like you could, and then, like, they had to like, the players had to find out they couldn't. So,
Right.
this isn't quite like that because like, I don't know their behind the scenes, and again, now I'm kind of matching up with people, but it's rare. And I just feel like I don't know if I trust that it's actually not happening that way or if it's
Hmm.
their shitty servers. Because I honestly think they've been having a lot of issues. Like, there was, like, the whole Columbus Day weekend, 4 days of that weekend, they had issues every day.
That I
Servers were down for
remember.
hours.
I remember
And then
logging on
now
when I first downloaded it, and I couldn't get into a game
yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah,
And
it
I
took
was like,
hours. It was,
"Is
like,
it
later in
broken?
the
Should I
day,
re-download it?"
and then, like, people were having issues, they were logging on, and, like, again, it was a server issue, but, like, they were like, "All my characters are deleted."
Right. They
People up
couldn't
in
access
arms.
the
Meanwhile
characters.
yeah, meanwhile, it was just a server issue, your characters are
Yeah,
fine, but, like, you weren't gonna play anyway because
I
the servers were
experienced
down.
that one time.
I experienced it several on both systems,
Hmm.
PS4,
Slam dunked on
PS5,
you.
and the Switch, but they came back, it was just, but people were, like, losing their minds.
They slam
And
dunked
which
on
I
you,
get.
bro.
You think like just did a bunch, but then they did rollbacks, so people that were able to play for a little while lost these or claiming that they lost all these nice things they just found, and it's like I don't know. I feel like I don't want to grind like I used to. This is like an old game. Like yes, you're like bring back the nostalgia that way, but like I don't know, after Diablo 3 and like the lack of needing to like do that crazy grind, like I would expect them to up the drop rates and stuff like that. And I feel like they just left it the way it was. Which granted, I guess it's always one of those like, do we go with like how the game is to people or make it better? I feel like you make it a little bit better at this point. You're putting it into it. Like, what's the
Well,
difference?
do you feel like the server issues have improved since launch? I mean, I
Um,
haven't really had too
it's
many issues, but I'm also playing private games by myself. So
it doesn't matter though, because before you can even get into the private game, you get stuck in a queue now. I don't know if you've had that issue.
I
I've
saw
experienced it on
I
the
saw
Switch for
people
sure.
post about that. I have not experienced it.
Yeah, so maybe you're just lucky when you're playing, but like during prime hours, I mean the PC I hear it's terrible. Like people were like
Really?
literally waiting for like over an hour to get into the
Oh
server
my
before you can even
god.
yeah, it's crazy. That's what I mean. Like they really dropped the ball, I should
Woo!
say, on this.
They dropped the
And it
bomb and the ball,
seems
bro.
it seems like we're almost beta testing for like Diablo 4 maybe. Like they're trying to test their capacity and what they can work with. Or
Wow.
they just didn't put any money into like new servers and are using the old Diablo 2 ones and it's a problem.
Or they're just
I don't know.
firing everybody at Blizzard and
I
things
mean,
are
that wouldn't have
chaos.
anything to do with what they had set up,
It
you know?
shouldn't be. No, it
This
shouldn't be.
seemed like a cash grab to like make up for all the World of Warcraft subscriptions that were lost is
Yikes.
what I think it ultimately is. So we were playing that. I was into Salt and Sanctuary again.
You
Like I don't
told
know
me.
if we
Yeah.
yeah, I like so I've officially bought this thing on like every platform that I own and that I can play it because I had it on Switch already and I played tons of
Yeah.
hours.
I just have it on Switch.
I got it on Steam when it went on sale during the summer, playing with John that we had on the podcast for the Diablo 2 Resurrection or Diablo 2 in general.
Yep.
And
Definitely check that out
we
if you
we
haven't yet.
played
We had fun.
yeah, we played a bunch in like a co-op game, which I never got a chance to do. I know you and I were going to try and do that at some point, but I was able to do it with the Steam Remote Play, which was fun. And then they had a sale on the PlayStation. And I jumped on and I'm like almost beat the game again on that one. I just got really into it. And then the last thing that I've been playing very recently is I had kickstarted a game a while ago called Kingdom of Night, and
Yes.
it was like Dangan Entertainment, I think, is the publisher. I think, and they released a demo for it. And for those, it looks like the old what's that game, Shadowrun. If you ever played Shadowrun on like the
Yes.
SNES or Genesis, I'd say more the SNES. It's got that like where the faces don't have
With the smoke and
features.
stuff
Well, it's
on the cover of the
more
game, at least. Wasn't it like a guy
I
with a
think
top
that's
hat with
original.
like smoky eyes,
uh
and maybe I'm
I don't know, maybe one of them.
misremembering.
The original SNES one, I don't think that was the cover, but I could be mistaken. I never owned it. That was like a game I played, I think, on emulator because it was like, oh, yeah. But it was very fun. And
Shadowrun.
anyway,
Anyway, yeah,
it's
go ahead.
similar in that sense where it's like a high school kid. The town gets like taken over by like I guess like a cult type of thing, and like the girl next door is kidnapped, and you're get to like roll classes. I think it's like the ranged, melee, and wizard type characters. So they let you play a couple different classes in the demo, and I had a good time with it. I think like I'm very happy. I kickstarted it and looking forward to like when the game actually releases.
And
I
when's
played.
that?
They don't have an official date. Like they always say one thing. Like it was technically already should have released if you
Is
go
it
by
one of
like the
those like
Kickstarter date.
third quarter
Yeah,
2022?
I think it's more like first quarter next year is like the hopeful maybe
And
at this point.
when did you contribute towards it?
Oh, I have no idea. It's been like years, I
Years,
think.
yeah.
Yeah, or at
It's
least a
tough,
year.
man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough to, and like again, I don't always hold them to the like the date they're gonna do this, especially like a video game. That's a bit difficult. When it's like a product that someone's working on, like you probably already had a prototype, and this is like funds to like be able to like distribute it and maybe work on a little bit more. Like those, I'll be holding it more to. But something like a video game, like there's a lot of work and parts in that, and like sometimes you like have like a little bit going and there's more game to make, and like I'd rather wait and have the game be nice
Of
than like
course.
you rush to make your date, and like we've experienced plenty of that and have plenty of
Oh
discussions on that.
yes. Oh yes.
But
Recently too.
yeah, but anyway, Kingdom of Night, definitely worth checking out. I don't know if you're able to just publicly get the demo or if it was like a Kickstarter only
Just let
type deal.
everyone know where you can find that game.
Well, it was on Steam right now, but it will be coming out for I think all the major consoles is what they're eventually planning on releasing. And I will definitely be recording a little bit to throw on our YouTube channel because there's not much that I found. Like on YouTube, especially, there's only like this like the company's own like demo, not demo, like trailer, and I think even on what the hell is that, Twitch, only like two people were playing, and it was like not enough gameplay for
Yeah.
me. So I'll try to throw in
I'll
like a
be
little
honest,
bit
I
of
never do demos. I usually watch video of gameplay online, either on
sure,
YouTube or on, whatever. And or sometimes Twitch live. And
sure.
if I like the gameplay, I'll pick up the game. If not, then that's pretty
No,
much it.
and makes sense because like a demo is never always the full representation of the game,
That's what
and
I
like
mean, yeah.
typically I don't like to do that either. But I was looking forward to like how they were gonna work with what they were like talking about, and like they had a brief demo video I guess when the Kickstarter first came out. So it was nice to see that like they actually expanded on what they were originally saying, and it's very nice. So that's a lot, but what I've been playing. Adam, what you been playing
Which
lately?
I've been playing lately.
Yeah,
Well, I
or
did
last
get.
few
Well, we
months.
talked about playing Diablo 2. I mean, that's the bulk of what I've
Mhm.
been playing lately. But I did also get Metroid Dread.
Yeah, man, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, I have it in my Switch Lite. So like when I'm
Okay.
in bed at night, like if I have, if I'm energetic enough to pull
Yeah.
that thing out, I will play some Metroid Dread. I'd say I'm in the first, I don't know, quarter say of the game,
Okay. It's fine.
but it's incredible, bro. It's very smooth, and I would call it like 2.5D. I mean, it's akin to
Cool.
the traditional
Yeah.
Super Metroid game, like
Mhm.
just the way it looks and plays and etc. But they added like a new element to it where
A little
you
more
can
depth.
hold one button and press like the fire button, and you could do some aiming, and it's more like 3D for a minute.
Nice. It's cool.
Yeah,
But
when
still
those
like a
things
side
chase you.
scroller kind of, right? Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's cool.
yeah, it's classic Metroid. I mean, you have to jump around and
Mhm.
turn into a
Jump around.
freaking ball.
Jump
Yeah,
around.
jump, and it's just awesome. Like between
Nice.
what I watched on Twitch and what I've played myself, I'm sold on it.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did want to check that one out myself. So that's I'm glad to hear that at least it's like exactly what we were hoping it would be. You know.
Yeah, for sure. I've been waiting for
Cool.
this type of Metroid game for a long time.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, I'm not
Agreed.
one of those, like, I wasn't a huge fan of like Fusion and Echoes and whatever on GameCube that they did.
Fair enough.
They're
Yeah.
good, but it's just different. It just
Mm.
completely feels different. I know they have a really good one on I think Game Boy Advance. I forget the
Yes.
full title of it, but it's akin
Yeah.
to Dread and
This
Super
seemed
Metroid.
like what they were jumping off of that people were more happy with. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the traditional like platformer, Metroidvania, bro.
Okay.
It's like these defining games of a generation. But speaking of defining games of a generation, what I wanted to do for this episode also is just we have some new listeners lately, so I want these people to start to get to know us better in
Sure.
terms of our experience from a gamer's perspective and our history. So we obviously grew up together, me and Sean, since kindergarten, which is crazy because we're like creeping on 40 now, and it's like
Yeah,
scary.
we're in our late 30s. We have a few years, but
But yeah,
we're
that's
almost
that's
40s.
how many years we go back. So we have like mutual childhood memories of hanging out and playing games and doing all this stuff. So I want to bring you all back to the 1980s real quick. Right?
Wayne's World style, absolutely.
Exactly. See, the old farts will get that reference.
Yeah.
But either way.
And you new farts should hopefully watch that movie because I feel like it's a classic SNL.
Yeah, but some of the stuff I remember, Sean's parents had a conversion van, like one of those dope
Yep.
big ass vans that is like a traveling room on wheels.
Yeah.
So you go in there. There was the tube
Like
TV. It
4
was like a
captain
8-incher
chairs.
or something like that.
Yep. With
Right.
like an NES in the upper left corner, a VCR in the upper right. So you had like your full entertainment, like a backseat bench that went to a bed, like where they push a button.
Oh, that's
It was
right, the
like that.
shaggin' wagon.
Yeah,
But
man.
it's too late for that. There was kids filling that wagon and playing NES on the 8-inch tube TV that was installed in there. But
Yeah,
that
man.
was a blast, dude. What did we used to play in there? I know the Turtles game we used to play.
Sports Turtles.
The second one, the
honestly,
arcade.
yeah, of course, the arcade. Yeah, the first one was very difficult.
Dude, don't
Um,
even go there.
I feel like it depends. Like I used to play Mega Man. I used to play the original Metal Gear on that one.
Did you have
Um,
Yo Noid?
I did. Yes.
Okay,
Yo
so that
Noid
was
I
definitely
had.
one of
Yes.
them.
Yep. Actually, it's funny with a story with that van was I remember when I was a kid. I think like when the NES first came out, I got it like that Christmas, and I was like very young. It was like a weird thing. So I had a decent collection of NES games over time. And I remember like I used to call it the garage, and it was basically like a piece of plastic that had one of those like rolling top covers. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about? Like
Yeah,
CDs
yeah.
usually
It,
had
it,
stuff
it
like
used
that.
to be like old kitchens used to have like the bread boxes.
Yes,
And
exactly.
you can
like
lift
that
it up and it would be
Yeah.
like this almost like a garage door.
Right, and that's what I just used to call it my garage for my games, and it was just
Oh,
a
there you
skinny,
go.
long thing that like held like maybe 10 games. So
You had to be
I used to
selective.
because a lot of the times like it got to a point where like I was almost playing more in the van than I was in like the house.
Yeah.
So like I used to like leave my garage filled with games, so I had collection, stuff to swap out. And I remember my mom once went to the mall, Roosevelt Field Mall, back when, and it was like during Christmas time, like or right before Christmas, I should say. And she came to pick up my sisters and I up at my great aunt's house, and she was just like, "Hey, like the van got robbed today. Like I was actually
Oh,
in the mall and I came out, and they stole the whole garage. They just took the whole thing out, so I lost a bunch of games. Um, yeah,
boo.
like I don't like. There's games that I'm sure I couldn't even remember. But like one was the Turtles arcade game, and one was the only one I definitely remember was the original Ghostbusters game. Do you remember that one? I don't know if you ever emulated that or anything. It was like
I have not
very
emulated
weird,
it.
difficult game. Yeah, I sucked at it. It was one of those games I always tried and I just never did well. And then I have no idea what else I could have lost. Like it was just it's maybe Tetris or something.
Isn't
Like
that
I
like
honestly
the
have no
worst?
idea. Yeah. So anyway,
So, yeah.
they apparently tried to rip the NES out of the van, and because of the way it's wired, it's like very tight, the wires. So they end up like ripping and breaking the power and the video cable. So like it just pulled out. So like the cables are still in the NES, and they just dropped it on the floor and just ran because I guess they were trying to like grab and
Yeah,
go,
quick and go.
and they
Yeah.
didn't take the NES, which is stupid because the thing would still work, but they're idiots. So they
Well, they're
opened up
idiots
the
for
NES
breaking in,
though,
anyways.
but inside the NES was my Legend of Zelda, the gold cartridge, which was like my favorite
Oh,
game at the time. So I got that one. That was the one game I got. And then that Christmas, like to recover, like I think a few relatives like had gotten me some games, but my grandmother, I remember, got me the Turtles arcade again, which so I
nice.
had that. That was my favorite multiplayer
Yeah,
game, you know?
Grandma did you
So
solid.
yeah. But you
That's
had
so
an
beat.
NES
And
as
what's
well?
what's
Okay.
interesting about what's interesting about that story is I bet you those games are in cycling somewhere too. They're
Maybe. Yeah.
somewhere probably in the United States floating about with your
Yeah,
last
because they were
name
definitely ones, I'm
written in
sure they were.
Sharpie.
Yeah, funny enough,
Imagine finding that.
I was never one of those people to write
Write the
my name
name.
on the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never liked doing that. Like I know our
My
friend
wife
David used to
definitely
do that.
had, her
Yeah.
last name written on all her cards.
Yeah, David used to do the DPS on everything for his
Yes.
initials.
Yeah.
So like you knew you knew it was
Well, we'd
his. It
go
was
to
very
each other's houses and you'd, leave
sure,
things. It's
sure.
like, or, your buddy would have the same game you do. That was like the reason people would do that. It's like, oh no, this is mine. It has my initials, bro.
Yeah. And then just years later for like resale and stuff, now it's like you're like,
People buy 'em, man.
downgrading.
I've sold
They will buy them,
tons
but
of
like
games with
you
writing
won't
on them.
get like top dollar, for something that's like marked up, like what I mean.
Yeah,
So
it depends what it
it's not
is,
a
but
huge deal. It's obviously more important to know your stuff, and especially if you have like thieving friends or something like that, which obviously they shouldn't be your friends. But you know, when you're kids and like you're trying
everyone's
to,
got that thief friend.
or like schoolmates that like, especially in that age, you were like lending, you were making your lifelong friends. You
Yeah,
know what I
man.
mean? Like
Yeah.
we obviously we were able to trust, but like there's definitely been people that like I've like wasn't friends with after long because it
Oh
was
yeah,
like, oh,
you
they
lend
took
them
your
and
thing.
then you never see it again,
Right.
or
Or it's like, no, that was mine. Like it's got my name on it now, and it's like, you mother, how
yeah,
dare.
mama.
Yep. It's like, well, all right. I
Oh
guess I have
man.
nothing to stand on at this point because who keeps their receipts as a kid, you know? Like that was one thing I remember for the NES. I never kept any of the original box work. Like all that stuff was thrown away
Yeah.
because you got those like leather sleeves the game went in,
Yes.
and that was like all you needed. Like I was,
Yep.
and the
You pop
instructions
the
that you needed.
manual in that thing.
But like after that, well anyway, you had an NES. Like what was your first like was it just the original Mario or did you have any
Well, I
other
got the
games that you
set
loved?
1 year like you for the holidays, and mine came with Mario and Duck Hunt.
Yep,
And I
with the
think
gun.
I think a few weeks later, Dad got the track and field game with
Oh
the
wow.
pad that you step on.
I got that used that broke real quick.
That thing was terrible, but it
Yeah.
worked for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So I did have
So
that.
was it
Yeah.
was it Mario, Duck Hunt, and the track and field, or was it just its own track and field,
I
if you
think
remember?
I think that was separate. It came with the Mario and Duck Hunt for sure because you got the laser gun with it. I
Yeah,
had the
because
gray
the
laser gun.
one the one I had was like a triple pack. Like it came with Mario, it came with Duck Hunt, and then also the track and field came with my pad. I don't know where whoever got it from. I think someone got it from like a thrift store for me, like my neighbor.
Yeah, and you know what else I remember having was Smash TV.
Oh
And
yeah, I
I
remember that
remember
game.
loving that game back in the day.
Mm,
That and Marble Madness. Dude,
mm,
I spent countless hours as a child trying to maneuver those damn
mm.
marbles down that 8-bit, those 8-bit
Sure.
alleyways. And what was cool about that, it was kind of like pinball in the sense that it was like, pinball, like the old school pinball games have specific sounds and stuff
Yep.
when certain
Yep.
things happen.
Absolutely.
This game too, obviously. But that was one of the dope ones. And I had the first Bubble Bobble game.
Oh, yeah, that was one I lost. I definitely had Bubble Bobble, and that was stolen for
Up,
sure.
jacked.
Yep. Yep. That was another one. I think what the hell else did we have? I think like Burger Time was like one
Did
I
you? Oh,
randomly
I
had.
never had
Yeah,
Burger
and then that
Time.
got stolen. It
I
was
had
terrible. I
Narc.
was terrible at it too.
Remember Narc? The arcade was dope.
No. No, I don't think I ever heard of Narc. Or at
It's
least I don't
it's a
remember Narc.
shooter. It's a
Okay.
shooter. But
I remember
that was cool.
my family friends had, I never owned it at the time. I own it now, but it was like I got it as an adult. The original Castlevania. That was another one that I, as a kid, I was terrible at. And I just, but I always liked playing it. Like, despite dying constantly, that was the one of the few that dying as much as you did, you still wanted to keep trying to get further.
Well,
Because it
also
was a cool
remember how
concept.
young we were when we played this. We were like what, 4, 5, 6 in
Yeah,
that
it's like,
range
yeah,
when we were really playing NES. When did
sure.
Super Nintendo come out? 90 or 91? I should probably know that. I think it was 90.
What are we in, 86?
Well, remember, we're born 84.
Yeah, 90, 91.
And
Yeah.
Turtles became popular like
Because I don't
86,
think
87,
it was
88,
it was
89.
definitely not kindergarten, so it couldn't have been 90 because no one had, or if it did, no one had it. I feel like it was more first grade that came out because that was actually, yeah, you know what? It must have
Because I
been
was in
because
Florida.
you were, yeah, I guess you were in Florida, yeah, for like that first grade. You were like there for the beginning and then came back at like the beginning of second or something, or
I
the end
think
of
I
second. I
think
forget what
my
it was.
parents moved like after school that year after kindergarten.
Okay.
So I basically did first half of first grade in Florida, and I think before second grade even started, we moved back,
Hmm.
and I sort of like skipped first grade.
Weird. Yeah,
They
that's
sort of
strange.
just put me with my age group, you know.
Yeah, they were like, Florida, you'll catch up. It'll be fine.
Yeah, well, yeah, but yeah. So
Huh.
yeah, I could have been one
Hmm.
of those Florida man
Yeah.
stories.
I feel
Florida man
like,
does something wild and crazy.
or maybe it was. Oh, you know what? Now I'm like really unsure because maybe it was kindergarten that came out, or near the end of it, maybe.
See, this
So I
is a
know I
rare
went
moment,
over.
folks. I'm glad I have this on
Yeah,
video and audio because
yeah.
Sean
Me not
always
quite
remembers
remembering
everything.
because I didn't get that when it first came out. Like I got Super Nintendo relatively late because like I was like one of those things where like you just got a system. Like that
Yeah,
debate that was
yeah,
like
yeah,
you could
yeah,
look it up on YouTube. So many parents are
yeah.
saying it's like we're not gonna buy you another system for
You
this.
just got the old Nintendo.
But because I was still playing it quite a bit, so
Yeah,
it was kind of silly. Like, why are you getting something new?
I think,
But like, I remember,
Super Nintendo is also
Playdate.
50 bucks
We'd have
more than
Playdates.
NES when it released too.
Playdates. Do you remember the Playdates,
Oh
Adam?
hell yeah, play dates, bro.
That were set up. So I
Playing
I
was done
don't
by
I
appointment.
can't remember if it was a kindergarten or first grade thing because it's just that weird loop thing. It could have been kindergarten. I remember someone having the SNES, because him and his older brother had it, and I think it was a kid like Scott we went to school with or something, and like we were playing the original Super Mario World, and I was like, oh, this is actually very cool compared to the NES one, like, with Yoshi and everything else. And then it wasn't until first grade for sure that my first was hanging out with David because he had a Super Nintendo and he also had The Legend of Zelda Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo,
Oh,
which
that's
was
such a
like
great game.
that game was like because I loved the Zelda 2
Yeah, I know.
or the original Zelda. So this was like everything about this is better.
Yeah,
Like I remember like going
Zelda
home
on
dreaming about
steroids.
it. Yeah. Like I remember just like watching because I think he mostly played. I think I got to play for a few minutes and then like I got to go home. But like that was like a big deal if I
Yeah, and
remember
like
that.
younger kids, like I'd say 25-ish and younger now. I say kids because I could say this, but
Hmm. That was their first entry.
well, they just don't understand the fact that maybe they understand, but they don't. They never lived it. But we all had just house phones. There was no
Oh yeah.
internet,
No
so
internet
like
nowadays.
there was
That didn't exist.
no.
Literally
Int-
didn't exist. Not even
yeah,
that you didn't have
yeah.
it.
There was
It
no
it
internet
wasn't even
gaming. There
existing
was
yet.
just you go to your buddy's house if you want to play something. That's why all
Mhm.
these systems. That's why N64 had 4 controllers.
Yeah.
Because that was like
Right.
the beginning of the internet, basically, back then.
Which is funny though because John was one of the only people I ever met that had the 4-player adapter for the Nintendo, which I didn't even know existed.
What do you mean, the
Didn't
NES?
Yeah, like, it was a thing that plugged in, and you could plug in
I've seen
4
it. I never
NES
had it.
controllers, but he had it, and the only game that I'm aware that you could
I
play
was
was
about to
Gauntlet
say.
2. Gauntlet 2
There's no
was the
games
only
that
one.
played 4-player.
Yeah, just Gauntlet 2. Gauntlet 2 did, which I had. That was a fun NES game. Like, that was an easy 2 people to jump in, very, standard, like, no one feels like they don't know what
Even
they're
when you
doing.
get to like PS1, PS2 era, you still needed some ridiculous attachment to add up to 4
Yeah.
players.
Because speaking of Super Nintendo, I remember Secret of Mana had come out, and that was one of the only 3-player game. Like I don't know too many other ones that are specifically a 3-player. It's usually 2, 1, 2, or 4. Like it's never like only 3. But like we couldn't because the SNES only had the 2 ports.
Yeah.
So I had bought Super Bomberman, which came with the multi-tap adapter, which added basically you plugged it
I
into the
remember
second
that
player slot.
they marketed that game with that thing.
Yeah. Granted, Super Bomberman was a lot of fun if you had like 4 players to join. I don't think it
I
went up to
never
5.
really
But
played that game ever. I
oh
don't
man,
think.
that was fun. I played that with like I think my sisters, my cousins. Like we definitely got some use out of that because you were just dropping bombs and blowing people up and stuff. It was fun.
Well, you had kids built into your house. I was by myself, so
True, true.
so Bomberman's like whatever.
But like
Yeah,
both my sisters didn't quite play games. Like Nicole did, but like
yeah.
not so much my
Kristen was
youngest
young then.
sister.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, you know, I still would have cousins that come from Florida that would play, or just people coming over, and it's like, hey, grab someone to also
hey,
play. So
Bomberman, help me,
yeah.
please.
But Secret of Mana was like that was me you and David were playing that a lot because you owned it
Mana.
at first, and right or Secret of Mana, whatever we
Dude,
preferred.
that's what I was just gonna say. It was
Yeah,
like that's the debate. It's whoever says
yeah,
it the way they
it's
say it.
fine.
I
It's
say
fine. I
mana.
honestly
You've always
don't
said
care anymore.
mana.
Yeah, I never cared. It was one of
My
those like
favorite thing
I'll say
I
it
think
either
you've
way.
ever said is the guy who plays the Hulk in the Hulk movie, Eric Bana.
Yeah,
When it's
because it's
like
like
Eric
bad. It
Bana.
sounded weird. It
Yeah.
sounds weird. But
but
no, no,
but
no.
that's how your brain reads that. Like you
Yeah,
see the name,
yeah.
oh, that's Bana. And
I was gonna say
now
that was the original Hulk. He's like 3 or 4 Hulks removed at this point.
and now when I see the Minions movie with my kids, I don't know if you've ever seen it. I don't remember if it's the Minion. I
Not
think
yet.
it's the Minions movie where they have a joke about one of them says banana.
Oh, no, no. Yeah,
And
yeah.
my stupid brain thinks of you saying Eric Bana. I don't know why. This is how my
That's
brain
good
works. The
because I'm
wires.
entertaining. That's it.
Maybe
I'm
that's it.
unforgettable
Maybe my
sometimes.
wires are just crossed, and this is my problem. Unbelievable.
Uh, yeah, actually, speaking, I remember I actually in first grade because the Genesis had come out, Sega Genesis, the original Sega Genesis. I think because it was like an early first grade type deal, it was like one of those deals like we'll get you this, but you need to keep your grades up kind of deal. I
Sure.
remember I didn't get good grades. Not it wasn't terrible, but like they just weren't like what like the deal I guess was, or it
They
should have been
weren't
like
stellar.
yeah,
So
they were like in the B's, maybe a couple C's kind of thing, and like one
right.
A. Like it's just not enough to be like justified keeping the system. So I had Sonic for like a few weeks, and then my parents literally were like, "We're returning it," and they took it away from me.
That's
Like I will
amazing.
give them that. Like that was a threat that they followed up on that like most kids would like hope not, but like nope,
That's rough.
you did not do
Sonic
this,
the
and yeah,
Hedgehog, my grade
no, no,
stinks,
it's
so it
important
goes
though.
back.
It was a lesson to learn. Like
Yeah,
you
man, it's
can't like
parenting.
fall back on your deals.
W-
So funny enough, my friend Bobby, I think for Christmas that year, my parents ended up just selling it to his parents because it was like brand new. Like I only played it a
Yeah,
little bit. So
that's
he got
amazing.
we didn't know this until like later, but like my parents told me,
Oh
but
my
like yo, he
god,
got my Sega Genesis,
that's
and that was funny though
amazing.
because now
Because
kids
it was
could just
probably
hold it to
over 30 days. They couldn't return it, so they were like, "Who wants a?"
maybe
Yeah,
yeah, who
guaranteed.
knows? But but I remember like he now had the Sega, so he got all the Sega games. But like it's funny enough because then I think I ended up I don't know if I got it for a birthday or if I just saved up. It was like one of those things where like I got it, but I don't quite remember. I'm pretty sure it was my own money I threw in towards it, or it was or it was a Christmas gift, like one of the two. And I'd gotten the Super Nintendo, which in my opinion, like I know there was the war, the Super Nintendo was the better system by far.
Well,
Had
yeah,
way
it also
better
depends on
RPGs,
what
which
kind of
was
games
my
you like. Like if you like
sure,
RPGs, Super Nintendo was the
yeah, hands down.
go-to. If you
Had
liked
all of them,
action
except
games,
for
I think
yeah,
Sega
yeah,
had the edge because there was lots of like
depends. Yeah,
they like
depends.
the
Not
better
all of them.
versions graphically of some games
Yeah,
too. Remember that?
the Disney titles, like, comparing, like, Aladdin and, like, Lion King,
Yep.
the Genesis was way better. They had, like, Toe Jam and Earl, which were fantastic games, but were just
I
not
remember there
on
were graphical differences, I think, in the Mortal Kombat games as well. Maybe a little slight, but
definitely, yes, that I think theirs was but, like, honestly, the Super Nintendo one was so good, like, we didn't care. And I
yeah.
don't even think they
How you
I
gonna
don't even know,
complain? There was just so much
did
stuff.
they get all of them either? Did they get, like, Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 on the Sega?
I don't know
I
about
don't even remember.
3. I think that
Yeah,
came like PS,
just on PS
PlayStation
no,
era.
no, no, it was SNES for
Was
sure.
it?
Yeah,
3? Oh, they had like 3
yeah.
Ultimate. That's right. Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
like Cyber and and Sector and all them, the
Yeah.
robot ninjas. Yeah, it
Those
was
were
SNES.
good.
No, they were great.
2 and
100% great.
2 was amazing, and then 3
Yeah.
was just like extra characters
Mhm.
from what 2 was.
But Yeah, it was just like it was one of those things where like I think if I did not lose the Sega, I may have only had a Sega Genesis and like lost out on like so many RPGs that I love to this day. Like I wouldn't probably wouldn't have had Chrono Trigger, my favorite game. Like it's weird
Ever.
things to think about. Like maybe this would have worked out differently. Like I would have played it with like you guys maybe,
Maybe he had
but
to
like
suffer with Earthworm Jim on the Sega Genesis or something, and Clay Fighters.
that's
Remember
true
Clay
because
Fighters? No, we had it
it was
on
also on the
Super
SNES
Nintendo.
though.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Earthworm Jim also on the Super Nintendo, but I think the Genesis was better too. I think on that one.
I
Like
remember
it
we
was something
always
with
see
the
a
sound.
kick out of that Clay Fighter game because it was like
Clay
there
fighter,
was like
clay
gags in it.
fighter. Oh, I loved it.
They made
That game was
everything
great.
was silly and stupid.
Yeah. Oh man, it was great though. They
They
did a
did it
good job
right.
with that
They did it right
one. I
for
was
sure.
also a clay animation fan in general, and that was like your fighter version of it. So
Yep.
it was cool. I never owned that game though. Like that was like a very odd thing. I loved it, but I never like
Yeah, I'm
went to
pretty
buy it.
certain me and Dave both had it on Super.
Yeah. I think you had it on the N64 too, right?
Clay Fighter.
It was like Clay Fighter like 63 and a third or something like that. It
Yeah.
was some ridiculous title. It was
Stupid.
great. Great stuff. I enjoyed them though. They were very funny.
Yep. And then what they tried to do, I remember especially towards like the end of that whole era of Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, they constantly tried to not port, I guess you could say port, arcade games to those systems, and
Sure.
it just didn't hold up even
Yeah, not a lot of
close,
them.
even
Not a
close.
lot of 'em. I feel like,
So
yeah,
I
you
just
definitely
remember going to the arcade because that was a thing back in the day. We used to be able to actually go to the arcade and play these games in the arcade and Gauntlet and all this.
yeah.
And
Turtles in Time they did a good job on though.
that was
Like
one of the
the
only
arc the
ones though.
arcade is still better, but this was a very good
It was
port for
yeah,
sure.
it was pretty damn close.
And what the hell else? You know what's funny though? Thinking about like the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo, like it's like just popped in my head. Do you remember like obviously everyone knows like blowing in the cartridge, especially for the Nintendo, that
Of
was like the
course.
cleaning method.
Yeah.
And then like they were trying and I don't know if this was like a just trying to sell products or if it actually was not good for the system, but like I remember they were trying to say like you can't like blowing in it's not good. You really need to use like an alcohol cleaner.
Well, they
So
tell
like
you
they
blowing in it wasn't good because it oxidizes the contacts.
okay. So
And
then
that's
there
why
you
they
go.
sold that cleaner that you jam into the
Right.
NES and you do it up
Yes,
and
that
down,
thing.
pull it in and
But like
out.
you had like an alcohol
Yeah,
spray.
there was like a
But eventually you
solution
have to
for
like
sure.
they would sell you the solution, but like rubbing alcohol, I think was like the exact same thing.
Well, it's all
Or
little metal
maybe it
pieces
wasn't.
that were cheap. So the reality is once they started rotting out, I mean, the system just kind of conks. You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
you can clean it, but you'd have to take it apart. Like now, it's easier because you can actually buy the
Or
screwdrivers
get a screwdriver.
and
Yeah.
open them up. When we were kids, that wasn't even a thought. It was just like,
No,
oh,
no.
that's it.
Yeah. These screwdrivers weren't for retail, purchase.
Right? Yeah.
But I just remember having like all these cleaning kits and like these stupid things you'd be like wiping the inside of the cartridge
Yep.
and like rubbing on the stupid thing to jam into the system a million times. Like, gotta
Yeah, I
clean the
mean, the
contact.
classic thing for me was always I'd steal my mom's like cotton balls that she used for cosmetics, and
Yes,
I'd put
that worked too.
rubbing alcohol, and you just wipe those things down.
Mhm,
Usually, it would work, but some
mhm.
systems you'd have to like literally jam and like beat up to get working, but you could always get it working for the most
Yep,
part.
that's true. Those old ones I feel like were impossible to kill. The I think also not so much with the later systems. Like I think N64 a little, but like definitely SNES was the most times that I bought a third party controller that would just crap out on you. Like I don't know
Yeah.
if anyone else had that type of a experience, but like
Dude, the
Blockbuster
history
used to
of
sell them for cheap.
third-party controllers
Yeah,
was not good in
no, they were
general.
horrible.
In
They were
general,
horrible.
through the whole PS2 era, like from beginning of gaming through the PS2 era, in my experience, there were very few companies. There was Mad Cats that made like the
Mad Catz
best.
was pretty good. I think that might be
It
like
was
one of the
like king
top
of the
ones.
garbage, right? Like it
Yeah.
was just trash controllers, but they were the best at making the third-party trash
But not
controllers.
they I feel like they had a better chance of outlasting, or in like they also made a lot of niche stuff too. Like I remember my sister got like a Mad Cat steering wheel for the
Okay,
N64,
yeah.
which is like I mean, what racing game? Like I guess they'd Cruise in USA. I mean Mario Kart, but like you can't play off steering wheel with Mario Kart. That's insane.
No.
That game's way too crazy to be like. And she tried, and it was horrible. She totally you would lose every time playing with that thing.
Yeah, whenever they have accessories like that, it was always they pigeonhole you into like 2 games or something like that or
Mm.
1 game. But
But I
meanwhile,
remember,
the freaking wheel's like $50 or more
or at least, yeah, I think probably
because
more.
he has
But
some had stupid pedals and stuff.
yeah,
And
the pedals and stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I just remember storing that thing was like a pain in the ass too, because it's like this giant cumbersome thing that was meant to like sit on a desk,
yeah.
and it was like, oh my
Well, the
god,
reality is it pretty much sucks. I mean, I'm sure the new ones are dope, and but
could be, yeah.
yeah, who can dedicate like a whole area to like the
Some people do.
virtual? I mean, if you love it, you love it, and it's whatever,
I'd
you know.
love to.
And
That would be the dream to have like the virtual. You ever see the
yeah,
videos of people
you're
playing and it's
you're
like
one of those
throwing that
guys.
thing and just running, but like you're in that like weird thing where like your feet just glide. So funny.
Oh
You're in
yeah,
like it's like your
the
belt strap and
VR
just like
things.
yeah, dude. I like that. That is great. I totally would love to do like that experience with like a group
It
of friends.
seems
But
it seems dangerous. Like if you don't have
well, you're
good
strapped in.
coordination in general, like it's just
Well, you're
a
not going anywhere. You're strapped in. Like there's nowhere to like. You're not gonna fall. Like you have like a
right.
belt that keeps you in
But if you're
place.
on
So
the
like
outside looking at the people using the things, the
oh yeah, you can't be
awkwardness
close.
and like it's totally
Yeah, it's hilarious.
unnatural.
That's the videos I see though, is people recording people just like
Yeah.
trying to run away.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of videos of people struggling with like the home VR stuff too. Just
Mm.
like totally out
Well,
of it
yeah, that
and
yeah, you just get broken. Yeah, it's bad. But I used to like the SNES. Had like the turbo and auto. Remember that? Like the controllers, you can like set that up because some games would be
yeah,
like
some
mash
games you
this
have to
button.
spam, right.
Yeah, so that would be fun. Where it'd be like, all right, I'm just gonna let you do its thing, or like Mega Man, you're just like constantly blasting. It was this is unfair.
All
There's so
right.
many bullets.
And you're like a 9-year-old version of like the Leo uh DiCaprio like memes. Just like, hey, this is so easy. Turbo buttons, bro. I
But those
wanna I
controls
wanna
all
usher
broken.
us in from this conversation into the Neo Geo era, which I feel like doesn't get talked about enough.
No, it's not. You
Be-
had that, didn't you?
I don't know. It was
No,
like I had like
Brett
the
had that.
MVS like
The Genesis thing, right? You had that like
yeah, it was like an
a
attachment.
332X or whatever it was.
No, not the 32X. So who had the Sega CD? I'm getting all over the place here, but
Oh,
going back to
I
Neo
don't know.
Geo, remember there was a
Yeah.
place a few towns over where
Yes.
I had 1 or 2
Birthday
birthday
party.
parties there,
Yes.
and they
Yes.
had I
Absolutely.
never seen
It was
anything
like
like
all
this.
Neo Geos, right?
It was like 10 different tube TVs, like
Yeah.
properly set up on the perimeter of a place in like a storefront, right? Like imagine GameStop, all the games removed, and they had just TVs set up on the
With
perimeter
like
by the
seats.
walls. And then in the
System.
middle, they had like 4 TVs, and it was like a full place of just a straight up like Neo Geo arcade.
Yeah.
And we used to play like King of the Monsters and like
They
ActRaiser,
had
like
like
different stuff.
I think the remember that Michael Jackson and the Moonwalkers? I
Moonwalker
think they
game,
had a
yeah.
version of that. And I remember playing one like ninja like game on it, which was awesome. I have no idea what the hell it is at this point because it just popped in my head. But I
We
remember
could,
that being like a very fun
yeah, you
game.
could probably emulate some of that stuff. But
Yeah.
either way, like just the experience of going there, having a pizza party, you play these
Mm.
games, and the Neo Geo at that time, I don't remember the year. It was like mid '90s, and maybe late '90s, maybe. And we just
Yeah, it had
used
to have been.
to like go there and play all freaking day, and it was games that we just had no access to.
I remember that for one of your birthday
Otherwise,
parties for sure. Like that was awesome. Like I don't remember like it was like I never heard of this place. I don't think I ever went back again.
yeah. When I take Stella to school, I passed where it used to be, this little shopping
Uh,
center
mm,
in
that's
I think it
cool
was
though.
Merrick or something like that.
That's cool.
But every time I pass it, I just have that memory again, and it was just like the coolest thing.
Hmm.
But King of
That's
the
nice.
Monsters was like the big one I remember.
That was a fun one. Oh, I think you had that import for the SNES on
I
that
did.
one, which was fun.
Oh
But
yeah,
like, yeah, the Neo
we had
Geo
the
one
flea
was.
market, dude. We had the flea
Oh yeah,
market
yeah, yeah.
where he would import Japanese games.
That's true.
So I purchased from him the adapter that you would pop into the
Uh,
SNES, and then you play the Japanese games with the adapter.
yeah.
I don't remember. I don't think it translated anything though.
No, but
It
like I
just
think that
enabled you to
game.
play.
Yeah, that game. I don't think even had text really, or maybe it
Yeah.
told you like the quick one is like, who cares? We're just gonna
But
pick a
with
monster.
that
And
thing, I had King of the Monsters 1 and then 2. And I remember
didn't you have
going
a? You had like a vehicle one too, like it was like a plane and a tank or something, right? I think you also
Was it
had.
Pilot Wings?
No, I don't think it was Pilotings. It was like it was almost like King of the Monsters, but like you could drive on like a tank and you had like a plane. It was like another game we didn't play as much because King of Monsters was way better. But I remember you having like another game that was like we tried it once and it was like, want to play King of Monsters? Yeah.
Yeah. I can't. I'm drawing a blank. I know what it is.
Yeah.
I guess
That
I'll have
was
to
a
come
fun
back
little
to it.
system that I never bought and I think even considered buying, but like I did enjoy that one experience for sure.
Yeah, they should have brought that to North America and definitely plugged that. I
Mm.
think that would have been a success if they did.
The
But
Neo
no
Geo?
dice. Yeah, I feel like we got
That
stupid
was
stuff like the Jaguar that nobody liked.
Neo Geo was a thing in the US, I thought. It just wasn't very popular.
I
There
don't
was like
know. I don't
the
think they
market got like
marketed it.
well, it got very saturated because yeah, the Jaguar came out, which like I remember seeing in like Caldor, and it was like I don't even know what the hell this system
And then they had
plays.
the
Like there's
Virtual
no game.
Boy that came out around the same time, I think,
Yeah,
which was
that was
god
a
awful.
shame. It's the red. Oh my god, Andrew had that. I
The
played
red.
Wario with it. Like oh god, it's like you feel like your eyes hurt after playing that. It
Yeah,
was just
probably
strange.
erasing fields of brain cells.
Um, you had
We're
for a
destroying
brief
our
time
vision.
though. I don't remember what it was, but it was like an attachment to like the Genesis, I think, or maybe it was its own system where it had like a CD thing because you had like it was like sewer racing or something, and it had like full video cutscenes, and I think like Willie Beamish. Remember the Adventures of Willie
Oh my
Beamish,
god, that's
right?
right.
I don't know what the hell the system was because you only had it for like I feel like a couple weeks, and then it was like
Was Willie
you
Beamish
got
on the Saturn?
no, it wasn't the Saturn. I think it was like the 32X or something,
Maybe it
maybe.
was then. I
Yeah,
don't
because I
recall
remember you
having it
had
a
it for
long
a
time.
short maybe you just rented it? I don't even
That's what I'm
remember. You
saying,
had
dude. Maybe I rented it from Blockbuster or something.
maybe. Because I remember we had, like it was, like, street like, sewer racing, and it was, like, a weird, like, I don't know, you're
Tubin.
racing in, like, the sewer kinda thing, but they had, like it was, like, rock and roll, like, a video of them yelling at you kinda thing, like,
Oh,
"You scum."
dude. You know what I bought from LRG? Speaking of
No.
Halloween stuff,
Limited run game?
that dual game where they had Zombies Ate My Neighbors for Switch
Oh,
and
I pre-ordered
something
that.
else. I was
I
hoping
pre-ordered
to
just
get
the zombies one.
Yeah, I was hoping to get that this year. That's obviously not happening. I
Yeah.
actually emailed about it because it's been a while,
Mm. Yeah.
and they said,
I got
"No,
that for
it's
the
not in
Switch.
production yet." So I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay."
I definitely have that for the Switch. I saw that and I was like, I think I need to get this.
I
Like
had
this
to,
was a
bro.
great game.
I had
And I
to.
never did well in that game. I feel like I always got to like the big baby boss and
Yeah,
then
but it was charming and
sometimes beat him.
fun, and it's
Oh, it was
mindless, and
great.
you
No, no,
know what
no,
I
great
mean?
game. That was the same thing. Like Battletoads, loved Battletoads. Never got past the racing level, but still loved the game. Still played it. You know, it was like one of
Oh
those type
man,
deals.
that racing level is no
It was the
joke.
end. And like multiplayer was like you may as well throw the controller down. You're gonna fail. One
I've
of you is
seen
gonna kill the other one.
I've seen a video on Twitter of someone doing it effing blindfolded, man.
Blindfolded. Yeah, that guy's insane. Insane. The whole game blindfolded. I saw him do the whole game, and it's like, why?
Or how?
Like, just upset my child self. Like, oh, I couldn't do this with my eyes open and trying my hardest.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
cool. I wish I
but like,
remembered who it was. I'd give him a shout out, but damn,
yeah,
that was
true.
cool.
I did see the same. Yeah, cool. Um, but yeah, moving along. I think you had the Saturn. That was like the first new system besides the PlayStation.
Panzer Dragoon, and
You
then we
love that
had Virtual
Virtual
On
Cop, Virtual
and Virtual
Cop.
Cop. I was going to mention
And Virtua
also.
Cop 2, which were I think the two games we played the most of because it was the first time we had an arcade shooter in the house, and it was
Yes.
amazing.
And we also
Like
had access to the arcade as well.
we did, which was fun, but like it's way cheaper to just play at a friend's house,
Yeah.
and we did, and it was great. I think we only had the one gun, so like I think I used to use the controller, but it was still better than not playing it. You know what I mean? Like
That was still a tube TV thing though.
yes, you needed a 2 TV, and oh, you had something else for it, I think. But yeah, Virtual Fighter. Yeah, that was a fun one. I really liked that fighting game. The first one.
Yeah, that was the whole
Yeah.
thing. It was virtual everything, right?
Yeah.
Virtual
Cage.
On,
Right?
Virtual
You were
Cop.
Cage, the ninja, and all these
Uh-huh.
other people.
That
Yeah,
was
it
a
was
great
cool.
game. I had a blast with
Yeah,
those.
yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Then you
I
had like
think
the
you had
drunken
gotten
sensei guy. I forget his
yeah.
name.
Ah, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was fun. I think we rented like a the hell was that game? What the hell was that?
If I could
Independence
read
Day.
your mind.
Independence Day. They made like a alien fighter, like before Star Fox
Oh
was
my
like a
god.
thing. This
Really?
was like, yeah, it was like you were just like a a marine killing the alien crafts.
Don't you love that when they make movies
Yeah,
as games and then they just
yeah,
put generic, not even the
yep.
characters, it's just generic
Mm-hmm.
warrior or
That's all it was.
soldier.
Fight the aliens. They come out at you. Ah, I'm just dying immediately.
Oh man. Yeah,
And
but that was the bundle of things in Daytona USA, obviously, which was
of
better
course,
in the arcade. Much better.
yeah, I think because I definitely had an because the N64 came out before the PlayStation or was it after? Remember?
Um,
I I can't
Around the
recall.
same time, I think it
It was
came
before.
out after PS1.
Okay.
Maybe I'm
Yeah, because
mistaken. It
I
was late
remember
90s. I
yeah,
remember
that
playing
was definitely
64
around the time where like
or
I was
like
not getting another system for a long while. You had, like I said, you had the Saturn, you had a PlayStation, and you also had the N64 at some point. I think you got rid of the Saturn somewhere in between, maybe.
yep. Well, they stopped
Um,
making games and supporting it really, so that was
but then
that.
I think you must have just sold it because like I think you didn't even
Yep.
have it anymore. You just, like
Nope.
were like
I got rid of it.
with this. But like we didn't have a memory card like idiots, and Resident Evil came out, and being around the Halloween subject, we
Mhm.
played the crap out of that. But it was like you had to play as best you could in one run, and then the system
Yeah.
got turned off.
And I know Dave's listening to this, so
Yeah,
I will admit
and
to
yeah,
that fact.
forever,
He stayed over at
be
my house
upset.
one night. We had no memory card. We stayed up all night playing. I was like, bro, I got to go to sleep. I have
But you
to
guys
go to
passed out.
sleep.
Like you like left it and you were passed out, and then I
We
think
turned
you
the
just
TV off, and I remember
right.
laying in bed and thinking to myself, I just got this PlayStation. If we leave it on overnight, because I had heard that like the lasers would burn out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, or stop working or
I don't know
overheat or
anyone
whatever.
that's ever had that problem.
Well, I heard about it and it scared me. So I was like, I got
Gotta
to
turn
turn
it
the
off,
system
bro.
off. I got to turn it off. So I turned it off and he woke up and it was literally like a Darth Vader. No.
Well, he was like, "How could you?"
Yeah, he was devastated. I was like, I'm just trying to save my PlayStation, man. We'll play it
Yeah,
again.
I've definitely fallen asleep to like the system being on, and
Hmm.
like mine still. I think mine would still run right now if I turned it on.
Yeah, I remember one night also I fell asleep in my own lap, Indian style. We used to
Oh wow.
stay up so late playing games that I literally went face forward into my own lap and I woke up like, oh, like a pretzel, literally. Unfolding myself like,
So
why
funny.
do we do this to ourselves?
Why?
Why? And of course our parents are nowhere to be seen. Why? Like, imagine walking in on that. This one's asleep on the floor. This one's asleep
Uh,
Indian style in his lap. What
you
just
fools.
happened?
Yeah, you fools.
What happened in this place?
Rotting your brains to these systems, these video
So
games.
wait, I'm just thinking PS1 had to have come out in like 97-ish. So
Yeah,
N64
probably.
was 96, I think. Because I remember there was like Game Day 98, Madden and all
Right.
these games and
True.
stuff
True.
in the late 90s for PlayStation that were just sick. I remember
Mhm.
football games were just sick back then. Like the jump from what we had. I know you didn't play a lot of sports games, but from the jump
No, I didn't.
the jump
I
from what we
played
had in the early mid 90s to that was like astronomical. It was like a much better football
I think
simulation.
hockey was the only sport game I used to play. Like I
Yeah.
played this for sure for the NES.
Yep.
And then we used to
NHL
play NHL
94.
94 and you had 96, which was 94 was better because you could use the multi-tap and play 4-player. 96 though was the better hockey game. And remember it had like the rewind feature was our favorite.
Yeah.
Because you'd like take a shot and it would like hit someone who would be like, oh, let's see that in instant replay. Just hit these guys like, ugh.
Yeah, instant replay was cool. But like
Yeah,
hitting,
we
I
love
remember
that.
we used to like turn off the penalties and you just used to beat
Oh
the
yeah,
hell
we
out of
just
each other.
wail on people. Fighting was the best. It would just be take a sock to the face, sir.
Well, yeah, because the hockey itself got boring because it wasn't a real hockey
Yeah,
simulation like
so
they
we would
have
just try
now.
to instigate fights digitally. Like,
Yeah, and everyone could do the around the net goal every time.
oh, dude, that was great. Absolutely. Like, let's go around the side. Get it?
Yeah, and if you miss your check, it's a goal basically.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter who the goalie is; they they all let that one in. Oh
That's good.
man,
But
good lord.
I think I got the N64 when Star Fox came out,
Yeah, I
or
remember.
right after maybe. Because I remember like that was like my Christmas gift was like they got me that and they got me the
Damn,
Rumble pack.
Christmas is like the Sean cash in for video games every year.
I mean, because it would be like
No, it's a
you'd
big
get
gift.
like
Yeah,
yeah, and it was just like I don't know, like
they
it
used
was
to
just
like market
what
it
we look
well
forward to.
too back in the day. Like they
True.
knew that what they were doing, selling it for the holidays. Like they'd release in like
Mm,
November or something like that, and then
yeah.
by Thanksgiving everyone had a new console in the closet
Mm,
hiding or something like that.
eh. I just remember going to Blockbuster. Like I don't know if it was not released yet and they had it early to like demo. Like I don't really remember how that worked. Maybe not. Maybe it was like out and I just didn't get it until I got the system. But like I remember going there to like play their stupid little display on the end of the end cap and Star
Yeah,
Fox. Like that was like I remember being like playing like a couple levels. Like we would just go there and like hang out in Blockbuster because like
yeah.
they weren't
And I
kicking me out.
remember KB Toys always used to have the new kiosks for whatever system would be coming out.
True. That was
So
cool
you
too.
go in there and you actually. I hated doing that though because I know how many kids played on that damn thing, and I was always like, "Ooh, these are
Oh,
gross
I
controller."
never minded that because it was I don't know. I guess I never really was
Well,
worried
I
in
was
that
that kid
sense.
that washed his hands every
Uh,
5 minutes.
I mean,
You
I
know what
would
I mean?
wash my hands, but like while in the store, it was like, oh, I'm gonna play this thing. I just feel like the connections were always garbage, or they had like I remember they had the original Star Fox for SNES was like their demo at KB for a while, and like I hated that game. I could never get out of the. I would like blow up immediately, like you couldn't escape the hangar. I was like, all right, this game's not for me. But then Star Fox 64 was like amazing. I played so much of that, and like I
Well, that
don't
was a
know if they,
jump up from also what we were used to. It was like,
yeah,
almost 3D. Remember the 3D FX they used to
yeah,
advertise?
true. But
Take full
yeah,
advantage.
I had the N64 for a while, and then I think it was graduation of middle school. That was like a graduation present from my parents was the PlayStation, and I got Final Fantasy 7 with it because that was like the game that I wanted to play so bad, and like always read
And look
about, and it was
and
like,
look back at the classic that it became, huh?
yeah, dude, absolutely, absolutely. But like, when the hell did we graduate middle school though? Was that like 90 like
97,
7
8.
or 8?
Yep.
Yeah. So like it had already been out for a while, like the FF7 and the PlayStation, but
Yep.
that was like my going into it, and then like that was
Huge.
another one where because the N64 had like very good games, but like the PlayStation had like probably the king of RPGs. I think I think it beats the SNES
Dude, there's
as
so
far
many
as like
good
what's
ones on there.
available.
We can go down the list, Lunar and all
Yeah,
those different ones.
but I really enjoyed that. So like
And they had your other favorite tactics.
Final Fantasy Tactics, yeah, that was a random pickup too. I remember hanging out with Bobby, and
I remember
it
you
was
playing
like,
that so much, dude.
yeah,
Every time
dude,
I'd
and it
come
was like,
over, I'd hear the chirps of the, you know,
yeah,
cursor moving around
yeah,
the screen. Uh-huh. Yeah.
going around. 'Cause I remember, well, I'll stick with this one. Like Bobby was hanging over, my friend Bobby, and he it was like I kind of wanted I'd saved up money and it was like, all right, I think I want to go get this game. I remember I bought the strategy guide and I bought the game because it was like, what is this game? Like I don't know anyone that even played it. Like I never really heard of it. I'd seen it in like some game magazines, but I was like, I don't understand what this was. And like I remember playing it and like I totally didn't even play it properly. My first like run through the whole game. Like they had like abilities you can equip on like your feet and like your body, like all these other ones. If you like hit right on the controller and like went to the next page, I
Yeah.
only was looking at like the abilities in the first tab. So I
Oh.
played the game with like almost on a handicap
Oh
without like
wow.
half the stuff it has. But I loved it. And then like meanwhile I had the strategy guide, which
How
literally
does that
tells you
happen?
all about the stuff. But I was just I don't know. I just for whatever reason just didn't even know to look there. But I remember um the best games like which being a Stardew Valley fan, the original Harvest Moon, for the SNES came out. Like I remember I played the crap out
Yeah,
of that game.
I never got into it, but I know how big it was back then.
Yeah, Bobby used to play with me on that one. Like that was a huge game that we like would stay up all night, like when we'd have like sleepovers and stuff. Like that was great. And then when Harvest Moon 64 came out, like he literally spent the weekend and we were up like all night every night that whole first weekend that we got it because it was like
Yeah.
what we were looking forward to and like loved that game. Like honestly, I put that on last summer and was like playing through it again because I was like, I haven't
Honestly,
touched
I
this in a
never
while.
played like a farming type game up until
Man,
Stardew Valley,
Stardew.
man. Yeah.
But like playing that, like that game was made because that guy's nostalgic for Harvest Moon.
Yes. Yes.
So like,
Which I knew.
granted, Stardew Valley is way better than anything Harvest Moon has ever done.
But it was
Like
a great introduction. Like Stardew's great, man. So chill, like,
Yeah.
so laid
Yep.
back and mellow, and not a lot of games like that anymore in terms of like just vibe.
And
like
a lot of
chill vibe.
copies I've tried, but like that one is fantastic. And like that was like a big like those are like it's so it's funny. Like I have all these RPG things that I loved, but like a farming game was like one of my favorite games for the longest time. And like I remember like back when it was Funko Land. So before GameStop, it was Funko Land, and I remember like as kids, our whole thing was like you can't get a job working here unless you're an asshole. Because every time we were in there, and granted, like as an adult, it's like all these like snot nosed punks are coming in,
Right.
but like we're interested in games, and we weren't like jerks. We were probably like a little bit loud because like we were excited.
Oh man, people get weird. It's like an authority thing almost.
Yeah,
Like
but
people who
they
used to
were
work over there used to think
mostly
they were like
douches.
hot. You
Yeah.
know what?
Yep, they were mostly douches though. I
Hot
can't say
shit.
this enough. There was very few of those employees that were like awesome dudes. I feel like every other one was like a get out of here. You need parents. It's like, what are you talking about? This is like after
You need
school, and
parents. You
no.
don't have money. Your parents
Yeah,
have the money.
you don't have a sign that
Bring
says
back the money,
you-
folks.
But like I remember Bobby trying to get Harvest Moon when he eventually got an SNES way later. And the guys were arguing with him like, no, that game doesn't exist. And meanwhile, like remember they used to have
It doesn't
the little
exist.
remember they used to have the little newspaper thing that would have like the pricing for like all their NES and S. So it's
Which was
listed,
actually great. It was convenient.
yeah, but it's listed under SNES. Like the game is physically shown
And
there.
here it
and the
is,
guy's
dude.
like,
Right
"Nope,
here.
doesn't exist. Your friend has a Game Boy Advance player and a Super Game Boy, and he's playing the Game Boy on his Super Nintendo. That's what he has." And it's like, I literally have played this game. You guys are jerks.
Oh, my dude should have been fired. Lack of
Nope.
product knowledge.
Nope. He's like, I'd rather just argue with this child. I'd rather just tell a kid he's wrong today because that's how good I
Right?
feel.
Crush his dreams. That game doesn't exist, young man.
Yep.
You are mistaken.
Sorry, you'll never have this.
Right into the magazine, folks.
Yeah.
Tell
Like,
them they're wrong.
This is like a good 20 years later, and I remember like this story. Like I felt bad for him because I'm like, oh, I wish I was there. I could be like, here it is. You suck, man.
Oh man. Oh, we've gone over an hour here.
Oh, really?
So,
Wow.
yeah, dude. So this is what I sort of wanted to accomplish, like I said, for the new folks listening. Just to get to know us a little better and get an idea of like what our childhood was like when it comes to playing video games. After all, this is a video games podcast.
And,
So
like, we're passionate about games for a long while. Like that was definitely like a common thing we both loved. Like when we became friends and stuff. Like obviously Ninja Turtles was probably like one of the first that like of our age. Like everyone liked that, but like video games were very clearly like the
common
glue
ground
that held everyone together. Yeah. Like it was like, you want to come over and play some games? Like, yes, more than anything.
And it's great now because there's a whole online community on like Instagram and Twitter of guys just like us who grew up with this stuff because the generation before us didn't. You know what I mean?
True.
They just didn't have it, and if they did have it, it was like Pong or real introductory type stuff. But but that's the plus of being like an 80s baby. We grew up with pretty much it all, and we got to see games progress from back then all the way up until now, and it's absolute insanity now, and it's great.
Cool
it's a
ride.
beautiful thing.
Although it is funny, I do feel like a little old sometimes where it's like the stuff that I want to play is like very 2D. Like those are the games I'm so drawn to now. And it's
well,
just
you know
like,
what makes me feel old? When I look in the mirror and I let my beard go and most of it's white. Not most, but I'm getting more
vintage,
salt
man.
than pepper these days.
Yeah, it's vintage. It's distinguished.
But either way, Sean, man, it's always a pleasure. Everyone who's
Absolutely, man.
listening, thank you for joining us. I think we might even have to do some sort of like part 2 where we can talk more about the late 90s and games going into the 2000s and 2010s and our experiences there. Like I said, just so
Yeah, I know
people
we didn't do
get to know us a
like
little
a
better.
spooky podcast. I know we typically were trying to keep with the theme for Halloween, but we just we were discussing it, and it was like I feel like we really want to kind of dive into the past a little bit, and you know
Yeah,
try to catch up.
feeling nostalgic this Halloween. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And like again, we in the beginning of the podcast we did discuss a couple games that I guess fit the theme for what we've been playing lately because sometimes you just get in that like that spooky mood and you want to play a game
For
like
sure.
that. So
I've been trying to
that's cool.
find a time to watch Halloween Kills, but like
Oh
the
yeah,
only
I know.
time I have to do that is when I'm in bed, and then like the kids next door hear like ooh, and like knifey stabby sounds. It's kind of rough. So
I guess that's
we'll see. I'll make time for that one. That'll be like my Halloween flick on.
I
What's it
missed the
streaming on? I
last.
think Peacock it's streaming on.
Yeah, I think it's Peacock too.
If it's still on there.
I missed the last few Halloweens. Like I think H2O might have been the last one I saw.
H2O, that was a while ago, dude.
Dude, I saw that in the drive-in.
What was the one with Busta Rhymes in it? Like Resurrection? There was like half rappers.
Oh yeah, I did.
Half
see
the
that
cast
one.
was rappers. It was so bad, and I love rap
Yeah,
music. That was terrible.
Yeah, it was like a virtual reality show or not virtual reality. It was a the hell was reality TV show is what they were trying to aim it for, and like people were like watching on the yeah, that was a bad movie.
It was straight duty.
Bad. But it was like it's like a horror movie bad. So like as bad as it is, it's still good. No other way.
No, listen, I like a lot of B flicks that
Kill
are
all
just
these
cheese,
rappers.
but it was just it was bad.
Yeah.
But I'll give the new one a chance. We'll see what happens.
Sure.
I'm not really
Why
into
not?
like gory horror lately anymore. I just like can't stomach any of this stuff. Some of these newer horror films are just like brutal, man.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah.
Like I like the old campy crap that we grew up with.
Oh sure. Yeah, because they were fun. They were
Yeah,
good stuff.
fun. And like the
Fun
old
in a
like
horrible
actual effects where like a zombie's
Right.
getting eaten
Yeah.
and the gross blood is shooting all over the place.
Yeah.
That's what we need, man. I want to see some rubber tube just like spew like 3 ounces of fake blood out.
Yeah.
That's where I draw my
pink.
line. I'm good. I don't need anything too crazy, but
Yeah.
either way, happy Halloween, everybody.
Yes, happy Halloween.
All right. Hopefully everyone has a beautiful holiday season. Hopefully we'll squeeze out 1 or 2 more before the end of the year so we can talk to you guys a little bit more about the old video games.
Absolutely.
And most of all, really, don't be
Don't be
jealous.
Catch you on the next one.
Later, guys.
Like and subscribe. Follow.
Follow all the avenues.
Yep.
All the avenues. YouTube.
Yep.
And Instagram and
Twitter.
Twitter, and you can find us pretty much everywhere. You can find other humans. Later.
Later.
Just jealous, oh you're 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 just jealous, cause we're the VG boys, yeah. Oh you're just jealous, oh
Yeah,
you're
just jealous, just jealous.
oh you're just
Outro, it's jealous.
Happy Halloween!
Oh,